All right, ladies and gentlemen, my crew, you guys know where to be at, right? Over there. Mike, you guys can just stay there, you and Becker. Most of you are from Warren Tech or know Warren Tech, but welcome to Warren Tech. Welcome to the Knights Cafe. All right, we're going to do a little Thanksgiving Day demonstration today. All right, if you take a look around our kitchen here, we have a display over here of different pastries that the students have made. Everything is homemade, made from scratch. It took a lot of time and just did a real nice job with it. We'll get over to the dessert table a little later once we get done doing a little cooking. On the right side here, on my right, your left, we have a buffet set up. Everything that we're going to display today and run through, we have cooked and ready to go. We're going to put in the pans that you guys can try and sample, okay, and maybe take a little home, depending on what's going on. What I have up here first, Rob, come here, and Erin, please. I'm going to pass these out. People get a little freaked out around Thanksgiving time, especially when it comes to either be raw chicken, raw turkey, okay, and how to handle it, how to store it, how to cook it. Okay, this is the USDA Food Safety Inspection and Service Guide. It's going to give you some general knowledge on buying a turkey and how to store it, how to thaw it properly, how to cook it safely, okay, so nobody gets sick. All right, and again, this is just a little FYI, something I printed up today. You can take a look at it at your leisure. But it gives you some real good ideas, and will hopefully, if you follow these steps, you won't have any problems with foodborne illness, which is the last thing that we want to get into. Anyway, Tom Turkey, all right, Thanksgiving. We've got a full spread here. Everybody likes to eat. Start with the bird itself, all right? This turkey is 12 pounds, all right? It's not a huge bird by any stretch, but it's nice and a good bird for a demonstration, all right? What we did with this bird, we have one cooking right now we're going to take out in a minute, and we're going to let rest. First off, what we need to do, what I do with the students is we identify the parts. Wings, breast, leg, thigh, so they know what they're working with. All right? One of the keys, no matter what kind of meat that you're cooking with, or any product is, you need to have it even. And when I say even, it needs to be either tied up. You don't want to have an end that's thick or something that's hanging out that's thin, because what will happen is if you take an average chicken breast, you have a thick end and it tapers down into a little point and a thin end. What happens when people start doing that, when they cook them, if you don't pound it out, okay, I mean pound it thin or pound it equally, you're going to have the thick part stay raw by the time the thin part is done and or burns, or vice versa, all right? In that, speaking to, what we're going to do is we're going to truss this turkey, okay? Trussing it is tying it up. Now, some of them come with this cute little plastic handle here. A lot of them, most of them do now. All right, what I'm going to do is just remove that, all right, and you can use that, but what that doesn't do, it doesn't keep your wings intact, okay? I'm going to put this off to the side. It's a fairly simple process. If you have a little butcher's twine, you can find it in most of the grocery stores. Some of the, most if not all specialty shops will have it, okay? And you're going to take the string about twice the size of the bird. We're going to come down underneath. One of the tricks of doing this is take your thumbs. Push down on the board, on the string, and slide it. And it should go, hopefully if you don't get caught on anything like I just did, like the neck there, it should go right underneath. You go about halfway between the bird. You're going to lift it up. And what you want to do is come down and around each of the wings, right into the joint. And then bring it up. Crisscross. All right? And you can see how the wings have been pulled back. Okay, at this point, I'm going to bring it back around to the legs. I'm going to rope around one leg here, rope around the second. Okay, we've got that trussed. And I'm going to make a small knot on the bottom side and pull it tight to keep the legs together. Basically, you've just pulled it all. You've got everything intact. What I'll do is come back to the top. One more time down. Trim it up. The reason that we do this, like I said, is to keep everything intact. If the wings are out, the heat is going to penetrate too much on the inside of the wing, and they're going to end up being burnt and crispy, and you won't be able to get any meat out of them. Keep them in nice and tight. The heat only penetrates the outside of it, all right, and we'll cook it evenly. Zach, if you would, let's pull that out and get that one covered and let it rest. Now, seasoning. There are a couple different ways. Some people like to do turkey. You've seen them probably done in fryers or heard about them fried. All right, what we did with our birds here is we soaked them in a brine, okay? A brine is just a simple water, salt, and sugar is what we used. We used a gallon of water, and for every gallon of water that you use, you need enough to cover the bird. Every gallon of water that you use, you're going to look for a half a cup of sugar, half a cup of salt, equal parts to each gallon of water. Sounds like a lot, but once you mix it in there, and what the brine will do, the brine is going to soak into the turkey itself. It's going to keep the meat moist. It's also going to give it flavor. I tend to put just a little more sugar in because I like it a little sweeter, all right, and it helps it brown. So we soak these overnight, 24 hours in a brine, take them out, rinse them off, and then we're going to get ready to roast them. Now, as far as seasonings go, simple, basic seasoning we use in the kitchen all the time is kosher salt, white pepper, granulated garlic. Call it tri-mix here. Some people call it, you might hear like Paula Deen, and some of the other people refer to it as a house seasoning. All right, everybody has their own blend. This is just a very simple, easy, versatile blend that we use. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go around the top of the bird, rub this in. I'm going to make sure I get down inside the cavity of the bird, all the way around, flip it over, get the bottom, and come back over. All right? I'm going to take a little bit of oil. You can use corn oil if you like, olive oil if you like. I would not suggest using butter on the top. Butter has too many of the milk solids in there, and what will happen is your turkey will tend to burn using butter. What I have in this jar is what we call Butterful. It's a vegetable oil that we use, commercial oil, flavored like butter. It has a higher heat point or smoke point, and what happens is it can hold up to the heat and it won't burn. What the oil is going to do, it's going to caramelize the skin. It's going to give you that nice crust. It's going to give you a nice shine. So what we're going to do is just hit this liberally around, rub that in, make sure we get the wings. Same thing, bottom. And that's it. What you see in the bottom of the pan that we have here, our roasting pan, this is called a mirepoix. It's a little fancy French term. Mirepoix is just no simpler than just onions, celery, and carrots. And we use a rough chop. Excuse me 1 second while I wash up here. We use a rough chop on that. And if you see some of the people talking about putting your turkey on a rack or roasting it on a rack, if you use just this simple mirepoix on there, it will accomplish pretty much the same thing. And what you're looking to accomplish is, excuse my back, what you're looking to accomplish is you want to have this turkey not resting on the bottom of the pan so you burn the meat. This is going to give you a buffer with the vegetables in there. Okay, raise it up off the actual bottom of the pan. And then what's also going to happen, this is a dual purpose. As this roasts, you're going to get the flavor from the aromatics, from the vegetables that are in there, that are going to permeate the turkey itself. And then what we're going to do, once we pull this bird out, we're going to add liquid to the pan. And we're going to turn this pan onto a boil, and we're going to use the stock, or I should say we're going to use the drippings that are in the pan and the water to make a stock, and that's going to be for our gravy. And in a few minutes, Zach and Mike are going to show us the gravy, and they're going to show us how to do the stuffing. So once it's done, into our pan, we would pop this into a 350-degree oven. Mike, want to grab that first order, please? Thank you, sir. Throw that convection back on. If you're fortunate enough to have a convection oven, and basically a convection oven is just an oven that has a fan in it that circulates the heat, okay? Convection oven is going to help brown evenly and cook the bird quicker. We're fortunate enough to have a convection oven. So 350 in a convection oven. That 12-pound bird is going to go in there for about 2 hours to 2 hours and 15 minutes, okay? As far as cooking temperatures goes, do you have your thermometer on you? Very simple and inexpensive device, simple stick thermometer, okay? This one registers from 50 to 550. You can get them from 50 to 150, 50 to 600, like candy thermometers. Simple $8 little thermometer, okay, which will help you in cooking any meat. As far as the turkey goes, internal temperature. Internal temperature of most poultry, if not all, cooking, Board of Health standards, is 165 degrees, all right? What people don't account for and a lot for is what they call carryover cooking. All right? We took this bird out over here, excuse me, gentlemen, and we had an internal temp of about 155 degrees. Now, 10 degrees shorter of what we should have had Board of Health standard. But what they don't take into account, because of the muscle mass in the breast and the legs and the size of the bird, okay, and no matter what meat it is, you're going to get what they call carryover cooking. What that means is the minute you take this out, it doesn't stop cooking. Okay, you've had it in there for an hour, 2 hours, whatever the time frame is. It's not just going to instantly stop like a microwave. It's going to keep going. So you're going to average anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees more cooking time, or degrees rather, in cooking when you take this bird out. So if you pull it out at 165, all right, you're looking at 175 to 180 by the time it's done. And that's where people have problems and your turkey comes dry. They go at 165, they pull it out, they get carryover cooking. Eric, come here, please. Want to bring that in the kitchen and grab me a new one, please?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. And then you get a bird around 180 degrees. It's dry. You got to make another 2 gallons of gravy and try to moisten it up by the time you hit it. So, as you see, we took the turkey that's finished out of the oven. We put foil on it. What's happening now, as you're cooking that turkey we spoke about, there's juices in there that are flowing. Thank you, sir. Okay? And they're starting to cook. The heat has activated everything. It's moving around going crazy. If we go and take that right out, put it on the board and cut it, what's going to happen? What's going to happen, Mrs. Vogel, to our turkey? Cut that right out of the oven. It's not going to? Well, it'll cut. Fall apart? All right. How about you? What do you think is going to happen? What's your name?
Caroline.
Caroline. What do you think is going to happen to that turkey, Caroline?
It would probably fall apart.
Fall apart? Okay. What is close? What'll happen? Yeah, I know, Zach, you probably know. I would hope you know with the white coat on.
What's the word, Zach?
Yeah. What's going to happen, Zach?
Cut it right out of the oven. You cut it, all the moisture's going to come right out of the meat.
There we go. All the juices are going to run out of the meat. And that's going to, even if you cook it at 100 to 165, you're still going to have a dry turkey because all that juice is going to run out. Once you take it out of the oven, let it sit for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Cover with foil. You have your carryover cooking. Everything starts to settle down. At that point, you can slice into it, okay, and you'll be good to go. All right, as that sits and rests, we're going to come over here and we're going to do a little two-step here, 2 at once. Mike is going to start a basic stuffing for us, okay? Mikey, what do you have in the bowl here?
I have onions, celery, and garlic.
Okay, and what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to saute it.
Outstanding. Why don't you start that and fire that up?
Yep.
All right. Does you have a pan going, or is that yours? Is that the one for you? Okay. Now, what we did when we talked about the mirepoix, the vegetables, the fancy vegetable name, and we talked about adding water, okay, to the bottom. What I have here is just a simple turkey stock. All this is in the bottom of that pan with the vegetables. I added a gallon of water to it. I put the whole pan right on the stove. I brought it up to a boil, okay, and then I let it just reduce for about 10 or 15 minutes and then strained everything out. All I'm concerned with is the liquid, all right, and this liquid is called stock. The stock is what's going to give flavor to the gravy. You can even use it, and we're going to use it in our stuffing, all right? Very simple, very easy to do. It might be tough for some of you to see. If you want to take a look at the stove once we get going, you can take a walk back here and we'll show you. Mike's going to saute the vegetables until they're tender. What he's going to do then, go ahead, Mike. People have different preference. What I have here is I have just a basic onion roll, okay? Onion roll that we cut up, just cubed up. Some people like cornbread. Some people like white bread. Depends on what you want. Brioche dough, the richer the bread or the richer the dough, the richer the stuffing is going to be. If you go on, and not that I'm doing plugs for the Food Network, but they have a decent site. They have a lot of tips on there. There's probably 20 different stuffing mixtures. Depends on what you grew up with. I grew up on an old-fashioned white bread stuffing. Some people have sausage, sage, cranberries, walnuts. Depends on, again, where you live, where you grew up. So we have just a little onion roll here because I think it's got a little more egg base to it. It's got a little more flavor to it. And what we're going to use, we're going to saute our vegetables. Mike's going to add the sauteed vegetables to this mixture. We're going to use a little bit of a stock to moisten it. Okay, and you can see there's a little layer of fat on the top. what's going to happen with that when we mix that in, you're going to get that richness in there. Okay? Again, this is Thanksgiving. We're not looking for a diet. We're not looking for Jack LaLanne here. We're looking to eat. Thanksgiving's all about that, and that's why we're using this. Little heavy cream to add in there to give it some more moist and richness. We've got some fresh sage that's been diced up. We're going to put some sage in there. We're going to put some salt, pepper, and the fresh garlic that Mike has, and we're going to add that to this. Notice I didn't say one ingredient I'm missing that would hold this whole thing together. Anybody know? Mr. Kinney?
Egg.
Bingo. Egg. He's got it. Gets an A for today. Egg. I don't particularly care for putting egg into it. What happens is a lot of people get caught up with, and this is where you hear stories about people getting sick at Thanksgiving, is they'll make the stuffing the night before, they'll put egg in it, they'll stuff the bird, and then it sits in there. Well, if you're taking a 24-pound bird and you're putting it in the oven with stuffing in there, as you start to cook it, okay, that heat is not going to penetrate the core of that bird for a minimum of an hour and a half to 2 hours. Not to mention that's been sitting in there overnight. What happens at that point is you have the cavity of the bird itself, the heat trying to penetrate from the bottom. Now you've put a wall up between it. You've added 2 pounds of stuffing in between, which again, it's the central cavity of the bird. Now no heat is penetrating under the breast. You're having a tough time to get heat to penetrate inside, which is going to cook the thighs in the lower half. So what I suggest, you can do what you want. Stuffing, I cook it in a separate pan. If you want the juice and out of the turkey, you can always pull the turkey out maybe an hour before it's ready and stuff it at that point. Your turkey will be done. You'll still have that nice crust. Everybody fights over the crust of the stuffing. I know they do at my place all the time. And you're going to have the flavor from the turkey. All right, but the egg is, again, just having that sitting there, and what happens is you have the raw juices from the turkey, and that's what happens. It soaks up into that bread stuffing when it doesn't cook properly, and then you start getting people to get sick, unfortunately. Now, we're going to move on. As Mike's sauteing this up, we're going to move on to the gravy. All right? Same thing, we're going to use our stock. You want to get that boiling up? A simple thickening agent. How many people have seen or used Gravy Master? Gravy Master out there? No? Gravy Master? That was one of the old ones that, or I'm trying to think, what's the little blue can that has a Wondra. That's the other one there. Okay? We're going to teach you again. Not about a diet. We're going to teach you a nice rich way, French term, in the thickening the sauce. What Zach is going to do, he's going to melt some butter in a pan. We're going to add some all-purpose flour to it. We're going to let that cook down. Generally, it's a 50-50 ratio. If you put 8 ounces of butter, put 8 ounces of flour. I like to use just a little bit less flour, so you get what I teach the kids. It should look like a thin mashed potato-like consistency, and that's what I put down in there. And it's called a roux, R-O-U-X. It's a French term. It's fancy, but what it is a thickening agent. All right. So what Zach's going to do, he's going to make the roux. He's going to have hot stock. He's going to combine the two of them together. All right, and that roux will thicken it up and make a nice, rich gravy. You're using a butter base. You can't go wrong with that. Nothing but flavor there. So that's what he's going to work on there. Mike, you know what? For time's sake, let's kill that and let's start mixing that stuffing and going with it, okay? Put that right in there. Simple sauteed vegetables right in the pan. I'm going to use the stock in here a little bit, only so Mike doesn't burn himself, just to cool it down. And again, what you can do, you have to eye this up. As you start to mix it, you'll see. You want to check the consistency. You want it moist. Go ahead and add your sage. About half of that, Mike, please. All right? And give that a good mix. If you need a spoon, if it's too hot, go ahead and grab one. We'll get that squared away. You want it to be able to stick together. You don't want juice running out of it. You don't want it dry. If you can put it in the palm of your hand, squeeze it, and it stays together, that's what you're looking for. Okay? Again, using an onion roll, you've already got some flavor packed in there with the onions, the dough that's there. So you don't need a whole lot of heavy seasoning. We've got sage in there, which is nice. We're going to use a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic. What's that, buddy?
A little more milk, I think.
Nah, let's get a little squish going there and let's see what the squish factor is. Yeah, you're going to be okay with that. Let it mix it a little bit more. You have to give the stuffing a little time to soak up the liquid, okay? If it doesn't, if it's going to soak up the liquid within about 2 to 3 minutes, but if you keep adding it in, it's going to go soggy on you, and then you're going to have problems. You're good. All right. Take your whirl then, hit that pan. Now what I would do, this pan's a little oversized here, but what I would do is take a pan, whether it be tin foil, casserole dish, put a little bit more butter down there, add our stuffing to it, 350 oven for about 15 to 20 minutes till you get a little crust on the top. And then at that point, if you want to put it back in the bird, I would take the stuffing out of the oven, let it cool a little bit. About an hour's time before the bird is ready to come out, add my stuffing in. That's good, Mike. Add your stuffing into the bird and then around the bottom of the pan, and you've got it ready to go. Zeke, you got a couple dry towels on you? No. Come on over here and Erin, can you grab me a couple dry towels from the back, please? What I want you to do is the pot on the end with the potatoes in, bring them on over here. Mashed potatoes. Got to have mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. We're going to do a simple little recipe here. Bring it right down to the colander there, if you would, please. Yes, sir. Strain them right out. Once you grab a, get yourself a kitchen spoon, and you're just going to put about maybe 4 or 5, like about halfway full here, okay? Thank you, ma'am. We took some russet potatoes, Idaho potatoes, and we boiled them, peeled them, boiled them, and we got them to the point where you can just basically smash them with your finger, okay? You could use red bliss potatoes. They don't have as much starch content as a russet potato would. One nice potato to use also would be a Yukon Gold potato, very starchy. You're looking for a starchy potato if you want it nice and creamy, all right, and a creamy potato. Russet's probably one of the best. And again, it's your preference. You can mix them if you like the different flavors. Some people like the skins on. I prefer that myself, but we peeled them today. We've had them in some boiling water. Boil them down for about 15 minutes or so. Just check them to see if they're nice and soft. About 2 more scoops, please. The key is when you're doing potatoes, once you drain them off, you've got to let them sit a little bit. You want them to dry up. You don't want any extra moisture in there or liquid in there. You're going to add either milk or cream to it to give it a little richness. If you have excess water in there, it's going to make your potatoes soggy and runny. If you're doing them with the skins on a lot of times, or even not, what I'll do is drain the water off and put them right back in the hot pot that I had on the stove. No flame, just leave them in the hot pot. A lot of times that'll be enough to evaporate the water out of them, and then you can lift them out, put them in your mixer, and go on your way. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. How you doing over here, all right? Let's pop that one in the bottom oven next to Zach, please. What's that? No, turn it back down to 350. That's fine. If you have a hand mixer at home, if you're fortunate enough to have a nice KitchenAid mixer, works real easy. Set it up. Let them start coming together. And again, I don't go anything crazy. Just a little salt, pepper, garlic, or house seasoning, try-mix, whatever you want to call it. Like, make sure you have some plastic spoons, please. Okay? A little bit of cream in there for some richness. What's that? No, that's fine. I'm going to try them then. All right, and I have a little bit of butter in the bottom just to give them some good flavor. Why don't you grab a small rubber spatula real quick, okay? Once they incorporate, get them whipping, going real good. That cream will help them become light, help them become fluffy, and again, give you a real nice flavor. If you have one of the hand mixers, double blade mixer in a bowl, that's fine also. Some people prefer a press, a hand press. You can use that, that's fine. Just depends on the consistency that you like with the potatoes. When you're working with any of the ingredients here, making things, the biggest thing is that you've got to try stuff. You got to taste it so you know what's going on. See what kind of seasoning you got. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're in pretty good shape here. I'm going to let it mix another minute. It needs just a touch more. Whoop, I guess I got to hook that up there, huh? That would help. You saw that, didn't you? I know. It happens. And that should do it. What you can do. Zeke, may I have, grab me about 6 of those plastic plates, please. Once you, Jess, grab enough plastic spoons for everybody, please. What you do is take your rubber spatula, just give a little dollop on each plate, pass them out so they can try them, all right? Give Mike a hand. We're going to put a little potato on each plate, let them pass around, let them try them, okay? And you're good to go. Drop the bowl and get that going. How you doing, all right? Beautiful. Great. Zach's got our gravy going. Eric, can I have one of the clear pint containers, the ones we use to go containers, you know, in a cage in the back, please? I'm just going to show you the gravy that Zach made, the difference between our stock and the difference between, excuse me, the finished product, which would be the gravy. I'm going to come right behind you. Erin and Rob, I'm going to need a 2-inch deep full pan, please. Make sure you have dry towels for yourself. I want to start pulling all those pans out and get them in the chafers, please. Yes, ma'am.
So when you were talking about potatoes before, you're basically talking about Western?
Yes. Yep, Western Idaho. Those are some of the best. The more starch content, the better that you have when you're making these, because you want them to stick together. You want them real nice and light and fluffy. Thank you, sir.
Did you want them red?
No, that's fine. We're just going to show it. I just need something clear so they can see. And I failed to mention in the beginning, and I apologize. If you have a question, please raise your hand and let me know. Yes, ma'am.
Can you, rather than using this mixer, do a food processor?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. You can use a food processor. Yeah, please. Make sure you have a spoon for each one, though, right? You guys can come right in the back, start grabbing the pans, taking the foil, lining them up. I'd like the turkey in the fourth one, closest to Barb, please. Now, just for a consistency demo, I'm going to show you just on a plate so you can see. This was the stock, and you can just, if you look in the mirror, you'll be able to see it. If I can turn this down, how loose and watery it is, okay? Once we got the gravy, we added our roux in there. We have a nice, thick, rich consistency, okay? Very good in flavor. What you'll see in there, in the stock, we also added some fresh sage to it. That's what you're going to see, the pieces that are in there. Okay? Homemade gravy, homemade stock. Sir?
Are you putting both trays of turkey out?
One for now. And what you can do is you can drop the temp on that down to 150, and that'll be fine. All right? Please. Got it there? Just be careful with it. And watch that cord when you come behind me, okay? So you don't trip. Okay, load those up. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay to use like a separate roaster, like an electric roaster, for making the turkey?
Oh.
Something where the heat comes out from the side. Let's say your oven is busy.
Right.
A whole bunch of other things. Is that okay?
If you have something big enough, that'll work. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just draining some of the juice off of this so we can keep it in there when we're going to make our gravy. You can still see a little bit of smoke coming off the bottom.
Can you just use a regular oven?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. The only thing is, if you're going to go with a regular oven that does not have a convection or a fan, which most people have, it's the most common, okay, you're going to have to add probably another half hour to the time. If you use the thermometer that I spoke about, check your internal temperature, you won't go wrong. But you're going to be, again, this is only a 12-pound bird, so you're going to be in the range. You need me?
Where's the best place to put the thermometer?
You want to stick it in the thickest part, okay, generally up underneath the breast, right down in the front section here. Or you can even come in underneath, but you want to get, your thickest part is going to be right in here. So you want to get it up underneath here, okay, and get that temperature in there.
My grandma, she has like them thermometers that you just put it in, and then on the surface there's like a wire thing for it.
Okay.
And she used that last year. And
Right.
it was so long that
Uh-oh.
the turkey was all the way.
Oh, no. No, not yet. You can just set them in there, okay? Mike, when you guys get a chance, want to clear some of this stuff, okay? Connor, get that stuff in the back, please. This is still going to be a little warm. I'm going to set it back here. Now you can see, same thing I did as far as trussing it before. around the wings. We've got it tied in the back. Now we're going to go for carving. If this is something that's tradition in your family where mom, dad, uncle, grandfather, whatever, presents the bird, meaning it's on a big platter, they bring it out, okay? All you need to do is trim your strings, put it on your platter, you're good to go. Once you get past whether you say grace first, however you do it, okay, bring your turkey back in unless you're going to carve it at the table. I'm going to give you a couple simple steps in how to take it apart, okay, so you can make the carving a little easier. First off, we're going to trim our truss. Now, we talked about breast, wing, leg, thigh. What I'm going to do, the center of the breast here is called the keel bone, all right? Just like would be a sternum with us, it's called the keel bone. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a slice here, and we're going to take both of the breasts off either side, and I'm going to set that solid piece of breast meat here so it's easier to slice and work with. That is going to give you access to getting the wings off and working with the legs and the thighs. So I'm going to just make a simple cut down this side, all the way down to the front. And then I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to free up just a little fat that's back here. And again, this baby's smoking hot, as you can see. No, I'm good, thank you very much. Same thing down the other side, and as you see, I'm going to turn this bird this way. You can come down to a point where it hits the ribs, and then you have to kind of bevel it out and work around it. And you're going to hit the top of the wing joint when you get down to this section here. So you just have to kind of feel with your knife, work around it, get in there and take that out. Same thing with the left side. Come right down. Now what you can do, go back in here and you're going to find the wing joint. And again, depending on how people like or they want to eat it, you can leave the wings intact. You can take them, come right down, separate them out, and put those in there. The wing tips, I generally don't find a whole lot of use for other than stock. There really isn't much meat, if anything, on them. But I'll put those off to the side so you can see. And again, separate it out. Come right down. Put those two pieces there. Now, legs, thighs. What you can do, right around the back of the bird, and you're gonna find that the thigh is gonna come down right behind. What I teach the kids a lot of times is I come behind this cage, separate it out, and I have the back, or what they call the saddle. All right? What I'm gonna do is take the thigh, come right down here. Same thing on the other side. One of the pieces, or what they call the oyster, this is one my mother always used to fight over. There's a little section on the back end there. And again, this concave in here kind of looks like an oyster, dark meat. For the dark meat lovers, that's like the golden one right there. Come in and remove that. Now, anything that I have scrap-wise, the breast, bottom of the saddle, wing tips, turkey soup, stock, gravy, put that off to the side, put it in a pot with the same mirepoix vegetables that I talked about, carrot, celery, onion. boil that for an hour or so, let it reduce down. You can make great soup, great food with that. Can I have a 4-inch pan to put the scraps in, please? If,
My grandma makes chicken soup, but she puts it in the crock pot.
oh yeah, crock pot's fine also. Same thing I did with the wing tips. You're gonna have thigh bone that runs this way, drumstick here. If you cut between them, follow that right down, you'll find the joint, separate them out. Drumstick, thigh. And I'm going to go back through and show you the individual pieces and how to carve them in a second. Again, we're breaking this down. It takes a little time, a little bit of work. Thank you, sir. You can just set that right over there. No, set it right over there where you had it. That's good. Thank you. Come back to our breast. If you want to fight over the skin, like the skin, you can leave it on. If not, now, when this is on the actual turkey, all right, and you go to slice it down, you're in essence, if you see it here, I'm going to peel this back so you can see. This is the way that the grain is running, okay? When you slice it that way, that's what's going to happen. It's going to get stringy on you. What you want to do is slice it the opposite way. That's why I take the breast off. So I come like this, straight down, and then again, you have more control over it. The breast is on the cutting board. Knife is here. You don't have to worry about working around bones. You can slice it as thin or as thick as you like it. What you're seeing here, and I'm going to separate this out just so you show you, is basically the tenderloin, which runs underneath the breast itself. Everyone has turkey, chicken, no matter what it is, you have a tenderloin, and that's what you're cutting through when you get that bottom layer. That's why you see some separation in there. Nice sliced breast there. We'll do one with the skin on. Doesn't matter which end you want to start from. It's up to you. And again, as far as thighs and legs, what I normally do, remove the skin, and again, come right down with your knife. Dark meat there. Any questions so far? We're about through it. Other than another drumstick. It's Thanksgiving. Just let him go. Just let him go. Let him have it. All right. I had to do that for effect. I couldn't help it. All right. We're at 4:30 now. Unless I have any other questions, what I'd like for you to do, we're going to lift the lids on our chafing dishes, okay? We have a couple things to put out yet. Grab those salads out, please. Put them out with the dressing. Sample anything that you like. Everything that we did here, the only thing that's over there that it would be an addition would be mashed sweet potatoes, okay? And I can give you the recipe. We did it the same way we did regular potatoes. The only thing that we added to it would be molasses and a little bit of brown sugar, just to give it some flavor, okay? But please, partake in some Thanksgiving feast. Ladies and gentlemen, pull those lids, please. All right, come on up, and I will be here to answer any questions that you have. Okay, thank you very much for coming out today. Appreciate it.
Warren County Tech, I'd like to thank the culinary arts class and the master chef here, Mr. Delesky, and all of his students for this fine lesson. We hope many people benefit from what was displayed today. This video is going to be on our webpage for anybody to download and preview at any time. And we thought this is the proper time of year where people will be having family get-togethers. Preparing a turkey, all the dinners I've sat through in my life, I've never seen one done just like this. And I'm usually the one in charge of carving, and I learned a few things myself here today. I also would like the students to just tell us who they are and where they live. People need to see this and know what the great job you did here today.
Go ahead, Jess.
I'm Jessica, and I'm from Sturtsville.
Eric?
I'm Hallik, and I'm from Phillipsburg.
I'm Robert and I'm from Wake Township.
I'm Erin, and I'm from Washington.
Go ahead, Ben.
Ben from Hackettstown.
I'm Mike and I'm from Blairstown.
I'm Zeke, I'm from Stewartsville.
Chef Delesky from Phillipsburg.
Zach from Harmony.
Barb from Harmony.
Again, thank you very much. A very fine job, and I hope we get...
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
And the Board of Education will be here tonight, and you'll be entertaining them a little later this evening. And again, just the display is just incredible.
You guys got shots of
Very
that, right?
picturesque.
Okay,
How
good.
this is all put together.
Good,
And
good, good.
People in the county need to see exactly the fine job that these students and the chef does. Again, thank you very much. Ms. Vogel, you have something to say?
I just want to point out, that here it is, 4:35 in the afternoon, and look at the number of students who are here. It really becomes a 24/7 life here at Tech, but the pride that all of you take in working with Chef, and obviously the love of the industry he has instilled in all of you, well, you know, the world awaits you. You have a great teacher, and I know he appreciates the students, and it's certainly worthy to look at the time that they spend.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Very well.
Thank you.